Guys, what's up? What's going on out there today? It is Brent Abel here, webtennis.com. Another episode of Theory versus Reality. Here's what actually works. And if we nuance that down just a little bit, here's what actually worked for me. And it's worked for a lot of my students and for a lot of fellow players as well. Five things. And I'm not saying this is a quick fix because um, it's not. And maybe that's good because most players, a huge percentage, want to become better players, and they kind of get into, well, what's it going to take? And they start going, well, I can't do that part of it because of this reason. I can't do that part of it because of a different reason. And so the bar's pretty low in terms of other players doing what I think you're going to do, what I want to show you today that I've done, that other players have done. And I know you can do it. Again, not a quick fix, but it does take five things. Let's get into each one. And the first thing is you need to find a credible resource, and that would be a coach. And the reason for that is they're going to help you with thing number two, which I'm going to get into in just a second here. But there's way too many players, and I've done this myself. I did it for so long. I just was on YouTube looking for a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Even though as a coach and a teaching professional for decades, I knew the stuff, but I hadn't put the work in terms of my own game. I thought maybe there'd be a little magic bullet out there or something that I could find, a magic tip or something, and it just never ever happened. So you gotta, if that's what you're doing, you're looking for the silver bullet on YouTube, and you find something for you try it, maybe it works a couple of times, but then the next thing you know is it just doesn't, and then you go back and you start dabbling some more, and you start hunting some more and searching some more, and you just get overwhelmed. You get overloaded with stuff and never really get any clarity of what it is that you want to be doing. And the other thing too is, maybe you're not on YouTube, but maybe you got some buddies and you're asking them. They've never been to the spot or to the level that you want to go to, and yet they kind of spout off like, well, here's what you got to do. And you want to ask them the question, well, have you ever been to where this thing is that I want to go to? And they go, well, no, but in theory. Okay, well, let's talk about reality. So, thing number one is you got to spend some money, you got to hire a coach. And I did that, and it was the best money I've ever invested, not only in my game, but also in really enhanced my ability to coach and teach as well. And I've worked with a couple of different guys, and man, really, really glad I did because it really helped me with thing number two, which is you got to minimize swing technique if you're going to be a consistent shot maker. And when I first went to Tom Stowe back in the day, I had what I thought was all the cool stuff, all the little flair here and there, all this, all that. And he just said, look, that little flare that you do at the very top of your prep on your forehead, it looks great, but it really gets in the way of you being a consistent shot maker. Sure, that little thing you do up there might work 10% of the time when you get that one specific type of incoming ball to your forehand where you can do it on. Okay, but the other 90% of the balls that come to your forehand, it just gets in the way. So we're going to work today, Mr. Abel, on taking that part away. We're going to start paring away all the things you don't need, all those things that get in the way of you being a consistent shot maker. And basically, he was taking all the complex out of it. He was getting right down to the bare bones, to the real basics, to the real pure fundamentals. And I'm not saying that you're a pusher, but what I am saying is that you're a high quality, consistent shot maker based on minimizing swing technique. And the only way to do that is you got to have the credible resource number one to tell you what the basics are, but number two to be able to keep an eye on you so that if you start veering away from minimizing stuff and start adding things, they're going to reel you back in. The third thing you need is to change your idea of what your target is. I used to think my target was a spot on the court over there away from that guy. And unfortunately, away from that guy was keep away, a moving target. And so half the time you're trying to figure out, well, Can I keep sort of a peripheral eye on my guy over there to see if he's moving towards my intended target to keep it away? And that just causes stress. That causes a lot of doubt. Obviously, you're not 100% visually locked on the incoming tennis ball. And so, what I got from the great Dennis Ralston back in the day is that the target uh, is a specific spot above the white line. And that white line is the tape on the very top of the net, right? He said, look, if you're on the backboard or if you're on the wall, I mean, what do we have up there? We have a painted white line. And when you're hitting balls against it, all you're ever thinking is, I want to hit this ball above the white line, right? And you never think about, well, you know, about the baseline over there um, on the other side of the net. You just think about, well, what's the spot above the top, above the white line that you want to be able to play this next forehand or backhand. And so once I started doing that in terms of practicing and thinking about, well, okay, I want the ball to go in this direction, but I'm not thinking about worrying. I'm not worrying about keeping it inside the baseline instead of covering the ball sometimes or getting off of the ball for fear that you're going to get too much power or whatever. What I found was this freedom that if I thought about was this little window above the net, above the white line, that's my target. It's stationary. I don't have to worry about the guy. And first of all, I should say, and by the way, you can't control if that opponent over there guesses or anticipates where you're about to play your shot. I don't care how great a shot you hit over there. If right before that nanosecond before you make contact, they start to go there, and now all of a sudden they're there, and you're going, what the hell? I just hit the greatest forehand of all time, and the guy's there. You can't stop them from guessing. You can't stop them from anticipating. So let's get out of our mind that we need to worry about and just think about, okay, the guy guessed on that one. All right, now I'm going somewhere else above the top of the white line. And once you get that reputation that you're the kind of guy that just never ever stinking misses, you're not a pusher. You're not known as a pusher, but you're known as that guy who never misses and hits high quality forehands and backhands, serves, what overheads, volleys, whatever, over and over and over again. And the way you do that is you start thinking differently about what your target is. The next thing is you need some time. And look, I worked with Tom Stowe for 18 months. I'm not saying that it took me 18 months to be able to minimize swing tech, that it took me 18 months, to kind of figure out a target, but it did take me some months in terms of, yeah, really shedding, really getting away, really paring away all the unneeded swing tech that I brought to the party when I first started working with Tom Stowe. And so you got to make sure that you've got time out there in the future, and that number one, you've got time in the present, right? I mean, I got obsessed. I got absolutely insanely crazed about the more time I put in, the faster I was going to get whatever my result was back then. And my result back then was just to become more of a player, just to start winning more matches at my current skill level and eventually trying to become a better player. So, the more time you carve out and you put in, the faster you're going to get to two things. What I just described. Number one is you're going to start winning a hell of a lot more matches at your current skill level. And that is going to build the confidence to take you to the next skill level where you're going to start to win matches there as well. The other part of number four is resilience, is that as you're going through that time period of putting in the work, it's not going to be all gravy, man. It's not going to be all sugar coated and just beautiful little thing. You're going to have some times when you dip down below your current skill level because you're consciously thinking so much about what you're working on. And when we consciously think too much is we just don't free flow, right? We don't have clarity on stuff. And so you've got to be resilient in terms of accepting that that's a reality of getting better. You've got to be resilient in those times when you're flatlining and you go for a couple of months where you don't feel like you're making any improvement at all. Because if you're not resilient, what's going to happen is you're going to go, well, this is not working. And you're going to go back to YouTube and you're going to start dabbling and looking and searching. You're going to go back to your buds and start asking them, hey, what do you think? You're going to maybe even fire that coach and go look for someone else that can get you to your result faster. And so, man, you got to be resilient. You got to be mentally tough at those times that you got to believe in number 5, which is delayed gratification. I'm telling you, if you do things 1 through 4, if you find yourself a credible resource, a coach that's been there, done that at the level that you want to get to, if you really work on minimizing swing technology and getting or swing tech and getting rid of the stuff that makes you inconsistent. If you start thinking about a different way, or you start thinking a different way about your target, making it tangible, making it not a moving target, and you put in the time and resilience needed, that number 5 is just the biggest part of the whole thing. You got to have all 5 of these parts. And look, once I trusted and believed in delayed gratification, now all of a sudden I just freed myself up and I know that I got to the result I wanted a lot faster once I did that, when I relaxed and I started looking at errors and mistakes as, hey, this doesn't mean it's not working. These are things that are now, it's just feedback. Hey, I got to tweak this thing a little bit more. I got to work on that thing a little bit more, right? So look, those are the 5 things right there. And I'll guarantee you. I mean, if you go out there and you work on these 5 things, I can't tell you how long it's going to take. It's different for everybody. You might do all 5 things and get it really quick. Maybe you'll do it faster than I've done. Maybe it'll take you a little bit longer. It doesn't matter. Everyone's unique. Everyone's different in terms of the time frame. But if you do these 5 things, I guarantee your improvement in terms of winning a lot more matches at your current skill level and then taking it up to the next level and winning matches there. It's inevitable. It's like a freight train going downhill. You won't be able to stop your improvement. So, guys, hope this has been helpful. I think the other thing that I want to make sure that you've got is that if you've not yet picked up my free 9-minute video on the 80% reality of matches, and 80% of the time we're not playing points. It's spent on in between points and also on side changes. Only about 20% of the time are we actually playing points in our matches. So if you nail that 80%, if you really manage it well, you tend to be able to do what we talked about in those 5 things. You now tend to become a much more consistent shot maker. And when you become consistent, you build confidence. And when you build that confidence, I'm telling you, the clarity just goes through the roof. So what I've got for you is a 9-minute free video. The link is down below to get signed up for it. All you got to do is drop in a first name and email address, and you'll get access to my 4 parts between points routine that has made an enormous difference in my matches, especially those long, close matches where it just keeps you in the present and you stop thinking about the future results, hoping, and all this other stuff. You got to pick up this free 9-minute video, which is right down below. Guys, hope this has been helpful today. Let me know any comments, any questions, remarks, feedback down below in that comments area. Would love to read what's on your mind. I promise to respond. And as always, it's time. We got to get out there. We got to help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, I'll see you again next time.